Someone's asking about the clan gold as well. You can go and have a look at the
The
clan
clan
shop.
gold. Oh yeah, okay.
Of course, I bought that as well.
37,000 clan gold. What the hell? So look, for those who don't know, Earbad's been on my channel, what, 3 times now?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is
Three
the
times, yeah.
third, maybe fourth.
Could be the fourth time, yeah. And when he first came on, it was a bit like, do you want to see a cool free-to-play account? I was like, yeah. And then I was just like, whoa, this account is actually nuts. And then since we've done like a couple of showcases of, how do you tackle some of the harder content in the game as a free-to-player? So really just a bit of an update, because I know you've now got a YouTube channel as well. And, you're kind of helping people on a much wider scale than just kind of coming on for a bit of a chat.
Yeah, I mean,
talk
I've
us
been
through that a bit.
trying to put out some sort of slightly more niche videos that maybe the mainstream content creators don't do so much for obvious reasons, because there's a much smaller audience for them. But it felt like there was a little gap there. I thought I could help some people, so I've got like a series of budget faction war videos, for instance, where I'm really trying to focus on not using really any legendaries other than the ones we get for free.
Yeah.
Mostly epics, try and keep as many 50s as possible, that kind of thing, and talk through the mechanics. Also
nice.
covered things like Doom Tower secret rooms, like the harder ones, sort of the rare ones, some of the like force defense, force HP, force attack, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Again, ones that don't necessarily have a lot of videos or a lot of content around. And a bit on everyone's favorite game mode, Tag Team Arena.
Yeah,
That's the
which you
latest
enjoy,
little
right?
series.
You actually like doing it.
So I find it interesting
much
from a tactical perspective, because if you can't compete in Platinum Arena, which, to be honest, is a very small number of players, and really if you don't have every single meta champion and really now empowerments, etc., it's extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
The only area of the game open to me to actually really kind of like compete in inverted commas at the highest level is tag team. There isn't really any other part of the game where you have to kind of engage brain on a continual basis, and you only have to really do it once a week. I would like if it took a little bit less time. Like, it is too time consuming. I completely agree with you.
And do you still, because I'm seeing your gold bars here, I'm sort of interrupt a second. Like, you got 340,000 gold bars, and I was like, oh, maybe this doesn't buy anything. And then I was like, hold on, he buys everything. Everything is on cooldown. Like, you're buying it all, and you've still got 340,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things there. One, you earn more in the higher levels of gold. You definitely do. Two, I don't buy any of the refills on a daily basis anymore, except if it's clan v clan or if there's a tag team
okay, I was going to ask you that.
ongoing.
Because beforehand you were saying that you do the refills. You did your 20 battles, which were your free ones a day, and then you used to pay like the 15 gems because it was one of the best ways to get stuff for actually like a very low amount of resources, right?
Yes, and I would, if I was sort of silver 4 gold 1 kind of territory, I probably still would be doing that.
Yeah,
but up in gold 4,
don't need to, because you've got so much.
I don't need to. Plus, because it's the best form of CVC points per gem spent.
Yes,
you're better off buying like the 15, 40, and 50 gem refills during CVC, which is every 2 weeks. That always tops up the gold bars quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then we have the tag team arena tournaments as well, which, because I'm up in gold 4, I tend to try and go for those. It's my best shot at getting relentless as a free-to-play player, so I do tend to spend some gems there.
Yeah.
If it looks like it's one that I can win.
Okay, and just talk about arena because we're here. Are you now someone who has push plat? Or not in that kind of...
Nah, not really. I mean, the problem with plat is, so other than the last couple of months when I've been traveling, other than that, I'm work full time. So on a Monday morning, middle of the morning kind of reset time, it's impractical. I suppose I could do it on like a bank holiday or something.
Just because of work commitments, it makes it difficult to actually be there at the right time, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, that little bit extra level, I still think if you don't have really specific champions, it becomes that much harder even than gold for tag team.
Yeah, I would say, like, based on what I'm seeing you doing elsewhere, you could get into plat. Yeah, you could squeeze into plat and get a plat avatar, whatever. But I don't
Probably
think
by sniping it, but I wouldn't be
I
able to
don't
like
think you
stay
would
there.
like go there and hold like a top. It's a very different thing. Holding like a top 100 position and starting to get battered by the people that really have got obscene accounts is very different from being like in the 400 to 500 mark, which I'm sure you could do. Like I know you could just by seeing what you're able to do elsewhere. But again, yeah, it just depends if you
I mean,
really
I agree.
want to push yourself to do it.
It's just I guess the timing of it makes it kind of impractical. I mean, if they did have the reset occasionally on the weekend and it was a day that I was around, I'd probably give it a go every now and then. Like you say, maybe over some time I would snipe it, but
yeah.
Not
talk us through this page, just quickly. Talk us through it.
Well, mostly saving for the guaranteeds, right?
Yeah, but how many do you think are coming back to back?
Well, we did have a situation recently where they put like 2 guaranteed ancients really close together.
Yeah.
So this way, if they do that, I can get both if they're both champions I want.
I just want to say, like, just people are probably watching this like, oh, this is a filthy way or something. Like this is a completely, like, just confirm it, completely free-to-play account with your 25,000 gems, 302 ancients, 188 void shards, like 38 sacreds. Have you purchased anything yet? Because I know last time we spoken you hadn't.
Still not. I never can now, right? Like we're too far in. Like it's the thing. It's really about how much you can do free to play, and at this point, also to be honest, now what is there worth buying?
Oh,
you'll see what sadly happened as well when I was away traveling. We missed Dragon by 5 fragments. So I have a 95 out of 100. Yeah, it does happen, I guess. Never happened to me before, but I don't know where it's hiding.
So let's have a quick look at some of your. I guess actually, let's have a look in the tavern as well, because this is often a fun area to have a quick look at. So you could literally 6-star 10 champions back to back to back, and I guess this is kind of just the effects of having a late game account now, right? Because champions you get, you probably less and less require. Like I find the same. My main account, I get to the point where I need to do champion leveling, and I'm like, I don't know who to level. Like, I don't know who's left to level on my main, because you just played the game for a long time. You've got a lot of kind of 60s already.
It is definitely, that's an element, but the other side of it is we get a lot of these champion training events where they give us legendary books, and now occasionally there's 6-star Chaos War in there. And because they're kind of one of the most efficient events to get those resources, you can do it with very low, if not 0 gem spend, if you're prepared and you're tactical about it. By doing so many of those, you end up never needing the chickens, because chickens are actually a bad way of doing champion training points. You making the food gets you so many more points that I always end up building the food the long way to do those events and never need to use the chickens.
And if a kind of like guaranteed champion turns up in a champion training event like we had with that Christ one, is that something that you would get involved in, or would you just avoid that like the plague?
It's a trap, You'll end up sinking so many resources, and you have that sunk cost fallacy where the more you put in, the more you want it, the more invested you are. I think you know that quite well, actually, if I remember correctly.
The Chris one big time.
And you can literally, I could annihilate the entire account if I went up against someone who had a similar amount of resources or was a spender, and it's like, well, then you lose the whole sustainability of it for one champion or potentially for none. It's just the risk reward isn't there, so I just leave it.
And with this, like, I'm just looking at your books here. You've got nearly 100 legendary books, over 100 epic books, and I can see a lot of champions here unbooked, or not unbooked, but perhaps not fully booked. Is it just you get to the point where you're like, I don't feel like I would need to book a skill, so just like Sakir here's a good example.
Yeah, I just
that extra
stop
10%, don't care.
Exactly, I stop when they're done. And most of the time, I'm managing the amount of books I use during a CVC to get the points that I need or that the clan needs. And again, there's no point me just burning loads extra
Yeah,
and not for nothing. Like if it's not going to get us the win, if it's not going to get us that higher milestone, what's the point? I'm just burning them at a point where we're not getting anything back. It does mean that, yeah, again, I guess it's that thing where I've always been talking about having a sustainable use of resources,
yeah,
which as a consequence means I'm always earning a little bit more than I'm spending. And as the
for
account
sure.
gets older and older, there's just accumulating more and more. I'm trying not to accumulate too much more of the gems. So I'm actually using gems a lot more than I used to.
Yeah.
And as
What
long as
for
I
then? So,
stay,
so how do you start to utilize them? Because obviously, every time I've seen it, it's just growing and growing and growing. It's getting insane. What are you spending them on?
so most of the time, and again, so I am spending gems, but I'm just not spending them faster than I earn them, but
You're
almost like
still
it's
growing.
roughly even. It's roughly
Right.
even.
Okay.
It's like growing
Yeah.
very, very slowly. And I would say right now I'm spending the 150 gems a week on the void day for Iron Twins because at this
Yeah.
stage of the account, as terrible as the drop rates are, it's still the best thing that I can do
Yeah.
with the gems, and I spend gems every CVC, and usually I farm minnow with quite a few of those gems. So probably at least half the gems I spend during CVC, I will farm minnow because if you're ever going to spend gems to farm minnow, you might as well do it during CVC and get a a few extra points. It's not
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
points, but
You
it's
sound
still
like someone who
points.
takes CVC pretty seriously. Then is your clan up there as kind of like a tier 6, always fighting with the big boys.
Yeah, we're a tier 6 clan, and I put up 300k to
Yeah.
450 every CVC, just
Sure.
by managing those resources and using them at the right time. And obviously, if I wanted to do one big one, I could. But
Yeah. I've got to say, like, I maxed my great hold quite a while ago. What gives you the encouragement to still put out 250 plus fights a week when you know that you're getting no gold bars?
to be honest, I don't know anymore.
I don't
Some
get
of it,
it. I struggle
some
with
of it,
this one. I struggle with this one hard.
some
Like,
of it's for the forged materials. Because I
yeah,
forge a lot each CVC. That's like a thing I do a lot to
I
get
get that actually because
points and
I
try and
am
get the
someone
gear.
who runs out. I run out of the ingots now because I just don't do enough arena.
So I'm mostly
Um,
doing it for that, to be
right.
honest. But it's like it's that kind of you see the token there and you just want to use it.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to stop yourself, and I'm so ingrained in my psyche not to let any resource cap out. Seeing the arena tokens like 9 out of 10, you're like, oh, I might as well just
You
run
still
them.
do that. You still like before bed, make sure you're using down to 0. And
I do. I don't know why. I should stop.
yeah, that was exactly how I played the game for a long time. But I'm not in that space anymore. Well, I just felt like I've kind of won the game that perspective and don't do it anymore. But I did. Like I used to be up till like midnight thinking if I could just finish off these arena fights down to 0, then at least, at least when I wake up, I won't have overflowed by too much. Right, call out some of your best builds then. Let's have a look at some of your cool builds here.
uh,
The Leo one looks
Good
nice. Just have a
question.
look at that.
You just sort by recently used. I just built Hefrak this weekend just to try something different. So I put them in
Stone
4-piece
skin.
stone skin with a 2-piece crawl because he gives himself the crit rate buff.
What level of Hydra do you beat every week?
I can one key Nightmare, Brutal, Hard. My record on
Nice.
Brutal is 110 million.
Oh, I'm sad I didn't get. I was away or whatever on holiday. I think for the Necmo guaranteed champion, and I think
Necmo's
that
quality. He's in my Brutal team.
yeah, one of
Fantastic
the
champion.
best. This is someone you use a lot, isn't it? Roman 2.
Yeah, I will probably move him into Stone Skin. I'm still kind of
Yeah,
my Stone Skin's not quite top tier enough. We as a clan we do beat Brutal every week, but we don't beat Nightmare yet. So I don't get as many chests as like the really end-to-end game players. But I mean, I guess some of my Hydra builds are quite interesting to see. So if you look at Geomancer 1 or 2, there's some quite crazy builds. And maybe someone like the Skull Lord Valgal's quite an interesting build.
she got relentless on Geo. rather than reflex?
I have one reflex, one relentless, but I use this
Right.
one also in Bommel. So this is a
Oh,
relentless
okay.
geo with 460 resistance and 350
Damn.
accuracy and high effective HP and 234 speed. Just build everything, all the stats, every
Yeah.
stat.
Nice.
And I was using him in twins until I built the third geo with a Mithrala lead. Hence he's got the 500 AC at the moment, but I'll probably drop that back down.
Yeah.
And then like Skull Lord is in my nightmare team as well.
Oh, really? Skull Lord.
Yeah, Skull Lord Vargal is my mischief tank and decay.
Yeah. So you got your provoke. So I wonder though. So a 1-turn provoke. Are you getting back to that in time?
Yes, I 2-1 with Lady Kimmy
Oh, okay. Yeah.
boosting, and he's in reflex, so sometimes he can cycle
Yeah, I saw the reflex. Yeah.
back to back on the provoke, which you kind of need because I don't perfectly 2-1. If they do not have decreased speed on for like a fraction, they can overtake. So if he
Yeah.
does get the proc from the reflex, that allows me to get ahead again.
Give me
People are asking
build.
to see the Kyoku, who I've used in a few different places, but it's currently I don't think has a chest on.
Oh, okay.
You know, the usual kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. This is my account all over. Yeah. Apart
So
from
she
yeah, I don't realize I don't have the chest on until it pops up on the screen like that champion's not built, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's still won anyway, so I'll move on. I guess what we wanted to talk about today. I know we kind of moved around there. Which I'd like to see your Iron Twins team quick.
I left a couple of keys for you
Oh, you
in
left the
case you
keys.
wanted to
Cool.
run it.
Oh, so you're
And
doing this one? Yeah. I was wondering what one you would be
yeah,
going for.
so I had been doing a killable one, and in fact, I've been trying to use like Mithrala and Kyoku
Yeah.
as a combination where she has the ally protection plus block damage on herself and decrease attack on him.
Right.
And then obviously with the Geo and trying to push forward the boss's turn me to get as many turns as he possibly can to kill himself.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't get it to be 100%. Like it's
Oh,
maybe
really?
90-95%, and RNG can work that you just end up with your buffs falling off at the wrong time as the boss gets under 40%. And
Yeah. Yeah. I think the team I run, since I changed it up again, I think it's been 100% so far. But then again, I just kind of leave it running, so it's possible it failed, I guess.
I just decided, what's the point of ever losing at all?
Yeah.
I don't want to waste that 20 energy for a loss. I never get it back. I can't, pay to get it back or to catch it back up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
But
I
I
haven't
noticed that
used Helicath, so I
I'm noticing
thought.
that Geo's debuff is coming off.
So I don't think it was until I put Brimstone on Helicath. And I did the Brimstone on Helicath to see if I could speed it up even a little bit further. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter because Geo will use his A3 every other turn because the
Okay.
Painkeepers are resetting it so fast.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you've got Painkeeper just constantly resetting skills.
Yeah.
This is a
But I
very cool,
tried it both
very cool
ways.
team actually.
In any case, it takes really kind of between 145 and 245. Seems to
Right.
be, from what I've seen so far, the range of it. If you have like the worst RNG of the buffs being kind of falling off, then it will be closer to 245. But it's never too long,
Yeah,
and
and I guess the cool thing about
you
this,
know you can't lose.
I've seen Soda Dragon videos on this, but the cool thing is like these Painkeepers can really be any level, any quality, really, can't they? I guess the same with Geo. Geo just needs to have his A3 booked out, right? They need their A3s booked. Is that it?
Pretty much. One thing I would say with this composition is these Painkeepers could be used in the rare HP secret room.
Right.
And they're actually having two Painkeepers for that secret room in Doom Tower 3, I think it
Yeah.
is really, really strong. So there's no harm in building two Painkeepers for that secret room. Kind of 160 and 150 would be good.
Yeah.
I have tinkered a little bit on the calculator just earlier today to see if I could find a tune that would use a Bat Eater Painkeeper, which is like 242, I think, if I remember correctly,
Right.
roughly.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, because
Okay.
obviously a lot of people have Bat Eater Painkeeper,
Yeah, definitely.
and
Yeah.
maybe they have two more, but they might not have three more. Currently, I've got four Painkeepers being used.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, just that's
everyone's
the
going
only
to
thing.
have.
Like this team, I've seen quite a lot. I've not done a video on it myself because not everyone's going to have 3 paint keepers. But I guess you're more likely to have 3 paint keepers than you are to have, potentially 2 unkillable champions. So yeah, it does make some sense.
It looks like we're going to end up with 2 of the slowest runs for the showcase,
Yeah,
which
so I
is,
seen some
that's what
hits
normally happens.
that just bad RNG, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of combination of like really unusual RNG is why those killable teams. I think it's going to be hard to have them 100%
Yeah,
because
definitely. Yeah,
there's
because even
always
with
stuff
this,
can
is
always
it
go wrong.
possible that a reset can happen at a bad time and you
No,
actually still lose with this team?
you can't lose
Not
because
losable.
you're going to be block damage 100% of the time. There is no opportunity. It can take longer if you just don't land your debuffs,
Yeah,
but it can't actually fail because the boss can
yeah, yeah,
never hit you without the block damage.
yeah. No, it's steady. Would this even work with the tower? I guess it's exactly the same, right?
It would work with tower, but you'd need a different speed tune.
Oh, because he's throwing buffs, isn't he? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. With tower, I think you could actually run tower slower. You have to have quite a fast helicath to get around the fact that you're pushing the boss's TM forward through
yeah,
those buffs, which means the gear requirement, it's not super low in terms of the helicath, but
yeah. Is
not
the
too bad
helicap at the
either.
same speed as the kind of clan boss standard builds at the
No,
moment, like
no,
248s? No.
no. He's 280.
Oh,
And
is he? Oh,
280 is
okay.
the minimum on this comp. There are
Right.
other comps that do exist with slower Painkeepers and
Yeah.
a slower Helicath, but
Okay.
I wanted the Painkeepers to be usable in the secret rooms, so I
Yeah.
wanted them to be over 200 speed
So you
as
wanted
well.
their
So
builds
kind
to
of,
be stronger.
yeah. Someone did mention that maybe the graphic settings are like the frame rate's lower or something, and that's why it's being slower.
Oh yeah, it would be. Yeah, maybe because I don't run on Ultra just because of videos, basically. Like I say, the main thing here is just making sure it's 100%, so you're not having to waste resources.
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
want
I like to do things the other way. Like I've always been someone who prefers not to go down the cheesy route, the gimmicky route, the unkillable route. And I
yeah,
wanted to do a killable team. Like I said, it was the fact that you have to spend energy to do it means you're wasting resources when you're trying to like do different things or kind of, it just makes it, unless you're on the test server, it's just painful to kind of play test. It would be nice if, in some of these game modes, you had the option to run it in like a simulated mode where you don't use any resources, but you're also not going to get anything.
yeah, definitely. Like almost like a little test mode. Yeah, that'd be cool. So
Because it would
just
be nice to be able to run it like 20 times. Your team, say you just built, run it 20 or 50 times to see if it actually is 100%.
yeah, just a couple of people were asking, do you have to have Geo for this team? I mean, definitely would speed
No,
things along, right?
you could run any damage champion. It would just be
Yeah, Armager or a Poisoner or I guess a Burner, but they're pretty damn slow. I
Armager
think
would be
Armager's
fine,
probably the
but it'd
best I've
be
seen, right? Armager,
probably.
pretty much the best
I would say so.
alternative.
I'd
Yeah,
say so. Just because with the Painkeepers, he'll basically be using his A2 like constantly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if actually, with that in mind, Septimus steps up, but still probably just Armager. Like, it's just it basically does the same thing, but more often.
Problem is, it's just 10% capped, so it doesn't matter
Yeah,
whether it's Septimus doing 10% or Armiger doing
this is
10%.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Like you'd said ages ago, if they just gave Septimus like 20%
Yeah,
instead
makes
as the
sense. Yeah,
cap.
makes complete sense. And he's suddenly out of the vault again. I just run through these stats quickly. So you need what 550 plus accuracy for your Geo to make this work. You've got a 215 speed here, but nothing else really matters for stats, does it?
Nothing else matters. I tried to build him so it would be at least usable if I want to use him in a third Hydra team. So I did go for effective HP, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. In terms of the speed, I've played around a little bit on the calculator and there's quite a bit of flex other than Helicath. So you don't have to be exactly 215. I ran it up. 225 is still fine for the Geo, which might be a direction I'll go later if I want to speed him up a bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need too much besides the accuracy on the Geo. The Helicath for this particular composition, if you want the Painkeepers to be that bit quicker, around the sort of over 200, you do need 280. 280 is the absolute minimum. You
But
can have
that's just
speed
because you're
sets.
trying to make your Painkeepers more viable in other content, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So there are
So
other teams around there that are like, I've seen ones, for example, that got Helicath here around the 250 mark. I don't know exactly. You'd have to check it out. I think it's around the 250.
yeah, I believe so. And I think they end up with Painkeepers around sort of like 170 or something, which I think would be too slow to use them in secret rooms. So I thought
Yeah.
I'd rather go for this one that at least I can use these champions in other content. I mean, I
Sure.
won't boss their level 50 and 40 so much, but in
Yeah.
the
So you
future, I'll probably end up 6-starring.
got 215, so same speed as your Geo on the first Painkeeper. All booked out, I guess, on the A3
Yeah.
and A2 or not?
I mean, they are in the end because my books didn't land nicely, but you only need
Right.
the A3.
It's only the A3. I didn't didn't know if it threw them out in some sort of way. No, I don't suppose it would. Because they also do turn meter fill on their A1. So this is speed tuned to account for the A1s happening whenever they happen, right?
It is like it actually, according to the calculator, it doesn't matter whether you have the A2 on or even if you disable it.
Right.
Even if
Oh,
you
it doesn't
get,
make a
they get,
difference.
it doesn't make a difference because even if they get the small TM gain, they're so much slower than the boss that it's effectively irrelevant, that
Yeah.
small TM gain. If you think
Yeah.
about it, like effectively, because of the buffs you're putting on the boss is running at 280 speed. And that's why Helicath needs to be 280.
Right.
If he's even 279, he'll miss a turn eventually.
Oh, really? Right.
And
Okay.
you'll fail. So we're only stretching the turn meter of the boss by so much, and you need Helicath at 280, that even that small TM gain on the Penkeepers, this is how I
Yeah.
conceptualized it when I was looking through the calculator. It must be irrelevant effectively at that point, because by the time they get that TM gain, the boss is so far over 100%.
Yeah.
Takes
Yeah.
the next turn, it doesn't matter.
Pushes it anyway. Yeah. I just there's a couple of questions here that either you might know answers to or might be able to kind of touch on. So, firstly, people are saying, does the gear matter on them at all? The gear types?
No. As long as Helicath true speed is 280 or more.
Yeah.
And it's, I think the window's like 280 to 285.9 kind of thing.
Yeah.
It can't be 286.
I've
So I've got
also
him in 2 speed sets.
Right. Okay. I've also seen this question quite a lot actually, and something I'm going to potentially try and address. But a lot of people create these comps which worked at stage 15, but people are at like stage 12 and they're saying I can't get it to work. Potentially because the speed tune just doesn't work at a lower stage. I don't know. I've not looked into that, but is that
I'd
something you
assume
played
it
around
wouldn't
with?
work. I haven't. I'd assume it wouldn't work because surely the boss has a different speed at each
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's something which I don't know if you've got any ideas to do content on that, but that's definitely something I'm seeing a lot of people ask the question of is how does it work on like, how do I get there? You know, so I've got these champions, but I'm not at 15 to be able to do it to work. Actually, Scorpo though saying it works on lower stages. Maticus, my team works 12 to 15. Oh, maybe it does. Maybe some of them do. I don't know. There's quite a few variations of this same team now. I know Soda Dragon's done quite a lot of videos on this particular type of comp. I'm
I'd
sure
imagine
other
some
people have
would
as
work,
well.
and others wouldn't. And I guess it depends. Like, as long as the boss is faster than the Painkeepers, but not so slow that Helicath ends up taking an extra turn, conceptually it should work. You might need to change the skill priorities and the skill ordering slightly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay, so where should we go next? I know we wanted to talk a little bit on secret rooms. What's the best way to do that?
Well, I mean, there weren't that many of the difficult secret rooms in this rotation, but I guess if you look
Yeah.
at the roster and kind of maybe
Almost
by
like talk us through
rarity,
some of the champions that you're using. Yeah, that would be good. Because
we
it's definitely
can.
something I'm asked about a lot. And I'm asked, can you do some videos on secret rooms? And I'm like, well, it's pretty niche because it's very end game stuff to try and beat up some of these rare secret rooms. But then once you get there, there's actually quite a few rares that are worth taking a look at, right?
Exactly. And in terms of the triple Painkeeper one, I actually did a video on it today. So if you do
Oh,
want
okay.
a video on that Iron Twins team, I have a video that I published today on it. I also a couple of days ago published a video called Best Rares for Doom Tower Secret Rooms. There's
Oh,
a
perfect.
dedicated
There you
video
go.
that kind of will take people through which rares I would prioritize building
Yeah.
to kind of most efficiently beat the secret rooms. Narlorn is brilliant.
Oh, sorry, Nullhorn. Yeah,
Yeah, like, and he's brilliant for because of the fact that he can do rare HP, rare spirit, and he's actually quite strong even in the regular HP secret rooms,
yeah.
even the ones that you can bring the legendaries to.
I love this rare. I really like this rare. Like people think I'm over the top, but almost like a bit Ash with his seal type of stuff. But I really think this is such an underrated rare, and because he doesn't hit hard at all. In fact, he can't hit hard. People massively
He
underrate
hits for
him.
nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
he literally doesn't hit.
literally, it might as well be 0.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I think I did maximum damage, or I was doing maximum damage, and I'd forgotten this part of his kit where it's like this attack cannot be a strong, critical, or weak hit. I forgot the critical part, so I've got him like 100% crit rate. It's like, yeah, perfect. And and I'd done his masteries with the crit rate as well, and I was like, this guy it's not critting. And then I reread it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. He can't crit. So yeah, he does not hit hard. In fact, if you can get away with not booking that A1, you should, because it's pointless. The extra 25% damage is probably another 25 actual damage.
Most likely. But like,
Yeah.
so what's beautiful about him in, say, the classic HP Secrets is probably the best HP nuker we have is Versolve.
Yep.
In terms of total damage. Yes, Magma does hit kind of almost as hard and is easier to set up because he doesn't need any setup, but Nullhorn can
It gives
perfectly
him the
set up
setup.
Versolve.
Yeah.
So particularly if you run Versolve and Magnar with Nullhorn setup, it makes that secret room much more attainable, much easier
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to do. You have like those 2 good damage dealers. You've got some crowd control from Nullhorn. He
Do you
cycles
need
back
anyone
pretty
else?
quickly.
Like, do you use anyone else if you're looking for control, or is Nullhorn doing it all?
So for the rare rooms, he can carry those rooms by himself on the control side. On the rare HP side, you will have you should run a Painkeeper or 2. So between having Nullhorn and 2 Painkeepers, you'll always keep them 100% crowd controlled. So then
Yeah.
any form of damage beyond that is sufficient. I tend to run like Doom Screech in that just to make sure I'm cycling that bit quicker and to give me a little bit more damage mitigation on the Nullhorn.
Okay.
And then purely because I built him, I run Sentinel as the kind of the DPS, who works very well in the Force rooms as well. So
Does this
you
hit
kind of
reasonably
got
hard, the AoE?
it. I mean, as these kind of HP champions go, yes.
Yeah.
But
So is
he also has,
he's technically an HP champion, but his skills hit for attack.
yeah. When they used to make champions, they didn't think about
Weird.
it. Right?
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people, not necessarily for HP levels, but a lot of people use Judge as a damage dealer in the rare secret rooms. He's a hard hitting, but I think it's all single target stuff.
Yeah, like so Judge is really good for the rare magic secret room.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get used really in any other.
Okay. So it's
So
not
I
very
generally,
efficient.
exactly, I prioritize building champions that were going to work in multiple ones. So you've got
Yeah.
a Force HP secret room and an HP rare secret room. So
Sure.
Sentinel can work in both of those. And there aren't that many Force HP champions. So you really have a limited roster when you get to that one.
Okay.
And the fact that he's got, an A1 provoke 85% and a little bit of self healing means
Brings you a little bit of control as well.
it's a bit of control that you kind of need.
Yeah.
You don't really get from
You
the
do
rest.
build masteries on some of these?
Some of them, yeah. Like Nullhorn doesn't need it because he does 0 damage. So why
Yeah,
would
no
you?
point.
Like, what are you going to get? You could get a bit of
Yeah.
damage mitigation, but I find if he's fast enough in his regen set, he pretty much takes care of himself. Like, you don't need to worry too much. And this one I picked just for the extra defense.
Yeah.
Stats. There are no active blessings on the rare side that are particularly interesting for defensive.
No,
champions,
I think
personally.
for blessings in general, even for epics, I think they've done healers wrong. They've done debuffers kind of pretty badly as well. Like, I feel like there's groups of champions that just don't really get good skills. Like, they could have made it way better than they've made it, or way more interesting, I guess. Yeah, I just
completely agree. It's so slanted towards attack-based nukers.
yeah.
They have all the interesting blessings, and no one else really has
Yeah,
anything.
definitely. As people think, oh yeah, I've got a healer, so I'll pick them a miracle heal. Sounds like it's the right thing to pick, but it really doesn't do anything unless you're in probably Hydra. But yeah,
No, completely. And it's a bit sad, really. Maybe they'll change it at some point, but
hope so.
their
Yeah, because
past
I actually
history,
quite
I wouldn't.
like the whole idea of blessings, although it's very hard to get them and very costly to upgrade and all that sort of stuff. I like the idea of them coming into the game to add a little bit more. I don't know, just something else to kind of play around with, have some fun with. But yeah, I feel like, as you say, they're a bit too slanted away from champions you're actually going to use. Because we use so many support champions in this game. You really, like, one per team generally is your damage dealer. The rest of them are kind of people setting it up. Yeah.
Completely. And equally in that respect, the blessings that exist for, say, defense-based damage dealers aren't that
Yeah.
great either. Like, the active effects you probably want are giving them the wrong damage stat. So it's kind
Yeah,
of,
for sure.
it's a little bit disappointing in that regard. But then,
So
yeah, go.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying, I'm seeing the two kind of starter champions, Elhain and Aethel. Are you using these two in your rare secret rooms?
So
Oh, looks like no.
not really. Aether was my starter, and I built Elhain for the rare magic secret
Yeah.
room, as she was one of the better kind of damage dealers who can go in stun 2 AoEs. I would say she wasn't quite as good at it as I had been hoping. I don't tend to use her that much, but she is still there as an option.
Yeah.
Maybe in time I'll actually rebuild her into Savage and take Aethel's spot. Because sometimes I do run them with a damage dealer, depends if I've got enough control. Initially, I ran pretty much everyone in stun across all the secret rooms, but over time, as you kind of optimize the champions and the composition, you can begin to bring a damage dealer in. So for like Rare Spirit, you've got Soulbond Bowyer, and I'm currently in the midst of building the second one as a full damage
Yeah. So
Soulbond. So you got
you're going
full
double
stun.
soul bond for the
I am now.
spirit.
Initially I didn't. I had single soul bond with the null horn. I think
Yeah.
I even ran like channeler initially and was
Okay.
reusing champions that I'd used in like faction wars.
Yeah.
But like if I was going to say who are the MVPs of that secret room, it's Nullhorn and Soulbond.
And I
For
see
rare attack, it would be Soulbond plus like Raider plus Cold Heart, these kind of champions.
what's Raider doing. That's good.
AoE drop
AoE,
speed
frequent
with
speed.
a single target, 100% chance to stun. So that kind of redundancy of you have a bit of drop speed, it won't land on everyone, but you also
Yeah.
have her in a stun set, and then you also can follow that up with a 100% chance to stun on a single target with a drop defense. So what I found is when you're running a lot of these rare secret rooms where you need, say, rare magic and rare attack, you need to stun every enemy basically every round. In
Yeah.
Rare Spirit, you don't need that because you have Nullhorn.
Yeah.
And
You got
because
Null
Nullhorn
instead.
does the entire crowd control job by
Yeah.
himself, you've got so much more flexibility there. But in those other two secret rooms, you need them crowd controlled the entire round. And generally, even if you have 3 or 4 people in stun set, there's usually one that gets away from you. So
Yeah.
Raider can do the stun, Soulbond can drop TM, Cold Heart can drop turn meter in the rare attack. It's useful to have 1 or 2 that have like a guaranteed single target crowd control. So when you
Yeah.
do get that slightly worse RNG, you can then follow it up.
So take it one cold heart you're using in something like a spider as well, and it's a stun one purely for secret room stuff.
So the stun one works in secret rooms, but I also run her in my Dark Fae speed team where I run 2 Cold Hearts in that. So she's multi-use. She
Okay.
and she also works in faction wars. Like my fastest faction war clear for stage 21 Dark Elf is double Cold Heart,
Is it?
Physics, Ghostborn, and Dark Ale. I think it's like 1 minute 30.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
And I see most of these are 60s. I wasn't sure if I was going to see a lot of 60s or almost like a bunch of 50s like we saw with your faction war. So are these 60s or 6 stars because of the need to level champions now? Or did you find you actually needed to take them up to 6 stars to be able to beat the kind of like harder secret rooms?
I'd say with the harder secret rooms, I needed probably 2 or 3 of them to be 60. I still do have some 50s. They're currently sitting in the vault. I had to move people out of the vault for the 2x ancient summons.
Yeah.
Like what you
When
can
you've got
do.
someone who's doing you're doing 250 plus arena battles a week. You're stacking up gold bars like a madman. I actually don't know how you even fit it all in. I run 2 accounts. I do pretty much all of the necessary things in a day. But by necessary, I mean I'll do like my complete 5 arena battles minimum. I'll do my complete the kind of 3v3 minimums, not maxing them out. It's insane to me. It's insane.
Someone's asking about the clan gold as well. You can go and have a look at the
The
clan.
clan gold. Oh yeah, okay.
Of course, I bought that as well.
37,000 clan gold. What the hell? What the hell? And you've bought both the champions. I guess you're enough. I know you've bought these things, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've bought these things. Wow. Wow.
Nice
I don't know what to say. How? How's that possible? With you buying stuff?
Do all the really hard clan quests and beat Nightmare Hydra.
Do you always do elite ones?
I do 2 elite and an expert usually. Like we have in our clan, we can pick 1 of each difficulty initially, and then it goes to free for all. And I usually just pick a second one that no one wants to do.
Yeah.
In the elite, once it's a free for all. I need to actually tomorrow. I need to run my Hydra keys.
Yeah.
Still leaving that towards the end of the week.
Yeah. But do you enjoy it now, Hydra? I know when we last spoke, you weren't really someone that enjoyed it at all.
It's definitely a lot more enjoyable since they added that provoke mechanic, and you could begin to reduce the RNG in the fight. It's a lot better. But
yeah, I feel the same.
It's a similar problem to tag team, but overall, it still just takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
like tag team on a weekend takes ages. Really, only on Sunday. Like every day up to Sunday is fine, but Sunday it's a big.
When all the defenses go back in.
Exactly, and you need like an extra 200 points or something to stay in your thing, and you got to basically do like 10 to 15 fights to do that. And the problem at Gold 4 tag team is 10 fights. Each fight can take between 5 and 10 minutes.
Right, because everyone's putting out proper hardcore defenses.
And they're horrendous.
Yeah.
Like with all the stone skin reaction, everything in the game.
I mean, you've only got it's a very small player base, isn't it? In Gold 4, 2,500 players. If you think about top 500 plat players, and there's probably at least 3,000 players that push for plat. Probably a lot more than that actually. So you are dealing with really the people that love arena that are playing in this level. Like in Gold 4. I've been in Gold 4 and could stay in Gold 4, but I didn't want to because it was just too much. I was just like, I don't enjoy it enough to want to do it. And then I have weeks where I forget to change it. I end up in Silver 4 and I'm like, why? But holding Gold 3 is pretty easy. Holding Gold 4 is actually a bloody challenge, I find.
It's a completely different ball game between Gold 3 and 4. Like the game, it might as well just be a completely separate bracket. And like you said before, the sad thing is that there's really no incentive to be in Gold 4 other than the fact that I can say I'm still there and get to fight to the big boys with my.
Can you understand it? I don't understand why they wouldn't have, like they've got with Classic Arena, a leaderboard, more rewards for the people that are like top 20, top 30. Like, it's an arena.
It makes no sense. Like,
it makes no sense. Where's the competition? Where's the competition of it? You can do the same thing in Gold 1 that you can do in Gold 4. I don't really get it. I don't get it at all. Makes no
like
sense.
I said, the only thing to be in Gold 4 is you don't spend the 15 gems a day and you get the same amount of gold bars roughly that you would in Gold 1.
Yeah. I guess so.
But it's easier just to do it in Gold 1 or 2 and not worry about it. Like there is no reason to be in Gold 4 other than the fact that, like I said, maybe a masochist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want the pain. Give me the pain.
Well, look, I think we're going to wrap it up. So I've got to jump on to the Hero Wars stuff. But as ever, awesome chat, man. Awesome to see what you're doing on the account. Also, guys, go and check out Earbad's YouTube channel. Like, he's got a ton. We call it quite niche videos, but they're actually videos that people ask for around Faction Wars, around Doom Tower. There's a lot of content in there, so make sure you go and check it out.
Thanks for having me on. It's always good. The chats are always enjoyable.
Thank you so much. At least we got into your account this time. I guess we'll see you again in a few months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Okay. Have a good one.
See you later. Bye. Awesome dude. Awesome player. And as I say, go and check out his YouTube channel because there's tons of good content on there.